Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So today I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch. So man, has it been a great year for Nintendo and gamers in general, you know, not just Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, everybody. You know, it's been a great time for gamers. But in this video, we're talking about Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch in particular. And it's been a hell of a year, a heck of a launch. Nintendo's been just killing it. So it's kind of crazy. There's, you know, pros and cons to every system, pros and cons to every game, that kind of thing. Nintendo's been doing a lot of things right as of late, but they've done a lot of things wrong in the past. You know, going back and looking at their previous systems, the Wii U, the Wii, and the GameCube. Now, I guarantee you, if any of you guys out there are Nintendo fans, you're going to say, well, wait, there are some solid games for those systems. And yes, there were. There were quite a bit of awesome games for those systems. The Wii U, the Wii, GameCube, great games. There was great games, but they were mostly first-party titles that you remember being great. Yeah, there's a handful of third-party games as well that were awesome, but Nintendo has been known to be a standalone system if you want to play Nintendo games. There hasn't been very many options and choices as far as third-party support and different types of things, you know, first-person shooters and just more mature titles and stuff like that. Nintendo's been stuck in that kid-friendly zone since around the Nintendo 64 era. Even before then, you know, controversy with censorship on the NES and Super Nintendo, it is what it is. But as of late, with the Nintendo Switch and the support that it's getting and the games that have been put on the system, it's an amazing time if you're a Nintendo fan. So looking at where the Switch stands right now, as of the recording of this video, they should be at around 8 million units sold worldwide, and it has not even been a year since the system launched. They are projecting by the year mark, maybe a little after, but somewhere around the year mark, they should be hitting at about 15 million units. That's amazing to me. The Wii U didn't even sell that, and it's been out for 5 years. The Wii U sold about 13.5 million units since its launch. The Switch is going to surpass that in its first year. Crazy. The original Wii sold over 100 million units. That's just nuts. But, you know, we'll see if the Switch is going to hit those numbers. And I think with the trend and how things have been rolling, I think that might be a possibility. So being stuck in that Nintendo zone of first-party titles, yeah, we're getting a lot of solid first-party titles for the Switch. And it's been a steady release of first-party and then some, you know, indie titles, third-party support. But the problem is, and I think this also turns into a good thing in the long run, is that we're getting a lot of ports. We're getting ports from Nintendo themselves and from third parties. Nintendo, I get it. The Wii U didn't hit as hard as they hoped. And I think a big part of that was the marketing and just the state of gaming at that time. A lot of people, especially people who were not gamers, who would buy stuff for their kids, and, you know, they weren't really into it. What was the Wii U? Was that an add-on to the Wii? You know, it was a confusing time. They should have just scrapped the Wii name and called it something else, because I think using the Wii name hindered that system more than it did, you know, making it a smash hit. You know, they're probably looking at, well, the Wii sold a ton. If we call this the Wii U, bam, like, what the heck is the Wii U? You know, even if they would have been like the Wii 2 or Wii Next or something, I don't know, but I think they should just call this something totally different. You know, the Super Wii. I don't know. But the Wii U didn't hit very hard. Had some great first-party titles, and they have been porting a lot of those over, such as, let's see, like Mario Kart 8, Pokken Tournament, stuff like that. Some people love that. Some people are like, I don't want to see ports. I want to see new releases. I'm actually really happy that Mario Kart 8 made its way to the Switch. Pokken Tournament's not my thing, so don't really care about that. But with a lot of these ports and a lot of the games that were on the Wii U that were Wii U system sellers or games that people were very intrigued by, they couldn't sell the numbers that they wanted, or they could have. But with the Switch hitting as hard as it can, yeah, go ahead, Nintendo. Bring those awesome Wii U games over to the Switch. Bring Mario Maker, bring Smash Brothers, stuff like that. People would probably prefer new versions or enhanced versions, but hey, I'm excited to see what Nintendo has in store as far as ports go. If they're solid games, like I don't want to see them port everything, you know, Captain Toad stuff, whatever that game was. Like, I don't want to see all that. Like, I don't want to see a flood. Just the top quality AAA Nintendo titles. Port them over and give us some new stuff here and there, like you're doing now. I can appreciate that. But then that brings us to the ports from third parties, such as, you know, we got Cinemora, Skyrim, Doom. Let's see, what else? Ultra Street Fighter 2 essentially is a port. You know, it's got some additions to it, but there's a lot of them. You know, I don't have every Switch game that's released, but the thing is I do have more Switch titles than I do any other system I own currently, as far as, you know, this generation of systems. But I think that's a good thing and a bad thing with these ports, especially with the third-party companies. With Nintendo, I think it's fine. No issue there, because you are giving us some solid games. But the problem with the third parties is we want those AAA titles that weren't released 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We want new stuff. But a lot of these games, you know, you got LA Noire, Doom, you know, even Wolfenstein 2 will be coming out next year. So that's a little later than, you know, its release on other systems, but that's fine. But we want to see those same day releases as far as AAA third-party titles go. Maybe even some exclusive third-party stuff would be cool too. But I think what these companies are doing, and it's a given, this is not a mystery to any, so I think they're just simply testing the waters. They want to see how this is going to do, how well these games are going to sell, and see if they should put their time, money, and effort into putting, you know, AAA, you know, holiday release titles on the Switch. And I can guarantee you, I put my money where my mouth is. I think this time next year, we are going to see pretty much everything that comes out on the PS4, Xbox One, as far as like certain titles. Like an example would be like the Assassin's Creeds, Call of Duty, stuff like that. I have this strong feeling, pretty much 100% guaranteed, those will be released alongside the other consoles on the Nintendo Switch at the same time next year. I just think these companies are playing it safe. They don't want to jump into a new system as of yet, especially an underpowered system that people may have thought like, hey, this is a tablet that kind of a joke, you know what I mean? That's the way some people look at it. This thing's not as powerful as the PS4 or the Xbox One. How are we going to game on that? But if you're like me, graphics aren't always everything. If a game you play, if the graphics are crap and they're glitchy and the frames per second are garbage, then yeah, that's going to detract from the enjoyment of the game. And if the quality of the graphics are downsized a bit, you know, Doom, Skyrim as an example, they look beautiful, but they don't look as great as on the other systems. But I think the intriguing thing for a lot of people who are embracing the Nintendo Switch is the portability, the different ways you can play. You can play it docked mode on your TV, play a handheld mode, play it, you know, on a stand on your counter, or, you know, at Starbucks or something, play a little multiplayer, Mario Kart, stuff like that. That has broadened the horizon as far as what gamers want and expect, and how they can utilize this system. I have played my Nintendo Switch more than I have played my Xbox One or PS4, period. In the short amount of time the Switch has been out, I have put more time and hours into it than I have for those other two systems combined. I can't say that about the PS3 and Xbox 360, but current generation systems, yes, I've played my Switch more than them since they released, and I've had both of the systems on launch when they came out. And it just is what it is. You know, an example is like Skyrim. I've owned Skyrim multiple times, but I could never get into it. I think maybe it was just time. I don't know, maybe I was just too busy to play, something like that. And I always, I have a PlayStation Vita, for example, and I've played my PlayStation Vita to death. I love that handheld. And I think it was the high quality games that you got on that system and being able to play them on the go that really made me play it more. It gave me more opportunity to play those games. I have a PS TV, so I could play my Vita games on the TV if I so choose, and I have occasionally. But having that option of playing high quality games on the go or on your TV is the biggest thing with the Nintendo Switch that is dominating the expectations nowadays. I'm sure, other companies are probably going to jump on that at some extent. Maybe not necessarily Sony or Microsoft, but maybe. That might be neat. But, the Vita can essentially be similar to that, and that you can do, the play on the Vita. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm saying. You can play your PS4 on the Vita and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. You can use your PS TV to stream your PS4 and play your PS4 games that way. So those are pretty awesome options on that system. But the Switch is just, it's been successful, and I think it's going to kill it going forward. I think the support is just going to boom for the system. As long as Nintendo's continually putting out system sellers, they put out a new Smash Brothers. Even if they put out a port of the previous Smash Brothers, that's a system seller. It doesn't matter. It's a system seller. Mario Odyssey just coming out a few weeks ago, that's a system seller. But once you start getting solid third-party support, you get the new Call of Duty, which, I don't care for Call of Duty, but just using them as an example. Assassin's Creed, stuff like that. That may entice more people to buy the Switch. Capcom put out some Monster Hunters, new Resident Evils, not just rehashing, porting over, old Resident Evil games. Give us some new stuff. Even if they were to port Resident Evil 7, hey, that's okay, but we want to see some new stuff. Whatever you got in the works, bring it on over. If it has to be downscaled graphics-wise, that's fine, but as long as it's not feature-wise and gameplay-wise, I don't think too many will care. Especially the people who are diehard Nintendo. They just want to play some games. They're playing Nintendo because they love Mario, Zelda, stuff like that. You cannot get those anywhere else. So there might be people on the fence. Maybe they don't have the money to buy a Switch, but the second they see a handful of third-party games that they're like, what? Like, that's out on the PS4, and that's, at the same time, being released around the same time, they might just finally bite the bullet and buy the Switch and continue those sales. So, it's been amazing the number of systems they have sold as of late, like I said. But any system is going to sell like crazy. You could put a box with a turd on it or in it and say, hey, this is the hot item this year, and it's going to sell. The same thing with a Nintendo product, Xbox, Sony. It doesn't matter. The initial drop and launch, it's going to sell out, be hard to find, that kind of thing. Nintendo Switch is getting a little easier to find as of late. But I don't think it has peaked yet. It's still going to continue to dominate sales as far as systems go. But at some point, it will peak. It'll go up, and then it's just going to, either remain steady or decline a little bit. And that's a given. That's just what's going to happen. So if you see these solid Nintendo sales booming, and then all of a sudden they decline a bit, that's normal. Nothing to freak out about. Because what happens too is say a AAA title. Let's say Smash Brothers comes out mid next year. Say the sales started to decline or just remain steady. As soon as that system seller comes out, boop, there it goes. Spikes back up again, sells a bunch of systems. Just the way it works. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds for us Nintendo Switch owners. It's an amazing time. It really is. A lot of sweet games out there. A lot of awesome indie titles. Nicholas is bringing out a lot of sweet stuff that we didn't expect to see, or, some of it's been out, but hey, to have those indie titles on the Switch, it's awesome. The Switch is like the perfect place for it, to play those games on the go and whatnot. So I can't wait to see how far this goes, what the next step for Nintendo is. Are you going to continue creating systems in this style? what's next after the Nintendo Switch? Are you going to take the Nintendo Switch and, like, you know, Sony and Microsoft, they're trying to extend the life capacity of their systems by, you know, upgrading them, creating new versions of them. Is Nintendo going to do the same thing? Are we going to get a new version of the Switch at some point that still plays Switch games and is more powerful and can play, you know, Switch 2 games? I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the future, because what else could Nintendo do? Make a system as powerful as the PS4 or Xbox One? Get all the same games as them? Nintendo's not in that position to put out a system that way. Nintendo's got money, that's not what I mean, but to stay viable in the market and to stay relevant, Nintendo can't do what everybody else is doing. Nintendo's always tried to innovate for the better or the worse. Motion controls, I can't stand them. That's why I hated the Wii. You know, the tablet gameplay with the Wii U was kind of cool, but just, you know, you couldn't leave your system. You had to play in front of it, essentially. But Nintendo has innovated in that way. They cannot do what everybody else is doing. So what's going to happen? Where are we going from here? Can't wait to see what titles we get. Can't wait to see the support. Amazing time to be a gamer, guys, seriously. So that was it. Just wanted to talk about the Switch a bit and how excited I am about what's going on, the trends, the sales numbers, the support we're getting, these companies testing the waters to see how things go, and most likely they will be giving us more. Like Bethesda that's essentially what they're doing, testing the waters, and I think they're doing good. They're hitting it hard, giving us some sweet games. Yeah, they're ports, but that's going to lead to something else, guaranteed. So smash that like button if you could, hit that notification bell, do all that craziness, subscribe if you have not done so already, and I will catch y'all next time. Boom!